Oh, thank God. Mommy, tell me this fucking nightmare is almost over. Please. From Reuters, OpenAI's $852 billion valuation faces investor scrutiny amid strategy shift. Oh my golly, we might actually be getting back to a world of a sane tech industry. Well, saying tech industry probably is the incorrect phrase, but at least not as batshit crazy as this has been. So anyways, one of the things that I've been talking about for a while with this whole AI fraud that's been going on is that these companies simply cannot actually sustain the valuations that they've been given. Right? We have OpenAI that has a valuation on the private market of $852 billion right now. We have SpaceX that they want to IPO at $1.75 trillion. Oh, you have Anthropic. I think they want to come out at a meager $500 billion or something like that. And one of the big arguments is not that generative AI is not valuable. It is. It's not that vector databases isn't valuable. It is. It's not that integrations with AI aren't valuable. It is. It's just not this valuable. It's just not. Because remember, right? Investors want to buy low, sell high. So if they buy OpenAI at a $1 trillion valuation for an IPO, they don't even want to see that just double. They want to see that quadruple or more. How do you go from $1 trillion to $5 trillion? Right, and that's where, again, as I say, like you might be able to come up with some batshit crazy excuse for why OpenAI is worth $1 trillion. But seriously now, how the fuck do you get it to $5 trillion? Especially, as I've been discussing, there's so many competitors for a lot of these services. Again, there's free, so I got the fancy M5 MacBook here. Using Olama, you can run models directly on your system. At the exact same time, the price for AI utilization has really dropped. It's amazing. I just did a class for Silicon Dojo, and I was showing the prices for OpenAI's API, and it's now like $1.50 per million tokens. Million tokens. Right. So the prices and the value of the technology is dropping. There are ever more competitors out there, and the free services are actually really good. Again, I stopped using OpenAI's paid ChatGPT a little while ago, a couple of months ago. I've now been out there using free services, and they're fine. I just started using Claude like yesterday. Claude's great. That's great. Look at what I get for free. Look at what I get. I get more than I need for free, which means I get more than I need for free, right? So anyways, and so that's the issue that you're dealing with, right? The value of this technology is dropping. The competitors are going through the roof. And then the questions about the utility of this technology are still there. I think one of the big problems that we're going to see with the AI revolution isn't actually AI. It's how much worthless work many people do. And I've been talking about this for a long time, whether it was from the work from home mandates or the return to office mandates, KPIs, something called key performance indicators. The fact of the matter is that so many people are employed by companies to do worthless work. They just are, right? So I've talked about this before. In the tech world, there have been a lot of asses in seats, right? Companies needed to pretend to be successful. You pretend to be successful by hiring people. And so lots and lots and lots of people were hired, but they didn't really have work to do, right? And you heard the stories. Again, you go back 2 years ago, there were many stories of people that worked at companies for months and still had no idea what the fuck they were supposed to do because the company didn't really care. They got what they wanted. They got an ass in a seat to pretend to the investors that they were successful so they could get more investor money, right? So those are those people, and those people I've bitched about for a long time. But then there's another set of people out there that they believe in having a work ethic, right? If I'm getting paid a stupid amount of money by this company, I should come in here and provide value. But the issue that you run into is that the company doesn't really need you to do any work, but you want to work. So what do? Is you come up with work. And again, you think about this with things like cargo cults. Like, what happens when half your company becomes a cargo cult? Like, think about this. Like, did you ever think about the bureaucracy of cargo cults? Think about this for a second. Like, well, okay, so if we're going to create this airstrip we're going to have to get the pre-approval for the airstrip. So you have to go to a bureaucracy. And then once you get the pre-approval for the cargo called airstrip, then you're going to need to get the permits for the cargo cult airstrip. And then once you go through the entire permitting process for the cargo cult airstrip, then you're going to have to get the architects to come in to design your cargo cult airstrip. And then there's going to have to be multiple committees about whether this cargo cult airstrip is appropriate in this particular area. And then you might have to take some environmental things into consideration. Has the EPA approved your cargo cult airstrip? So it's going to have to go through that bureaucratic process. And then once all of that is done, then the cargo cult airstrip actually has to be constructed. And then as it's being constructed, you got to manage people. Here's what I want you to think about for these companies. Again, it's not that people are not working. This is so fucked up, but you know it's true. How many employees in modern America are essentially doing the bureaucracy of a cargo cult? Where you've got like 10% of the employees in the company that are actually providing value to the company. And then you have the other 90%. Let's say they're working their asses off, but they're working their asses off to build a cargo cult airstrip. You ever think about that? How many people in America are employed by cargo cults? Anyways, and what I talk about with productivity though is it's fascinating because I just sit back. Again, look, I've been a business owner, worked in the corporate world, the whole 9 yards. And so one of the curious things, like I sit back and I hear what people are using a lot of artificial intelligence for. And they're amazed it can do the work. And I'm amazed anybody pays them for that product. Don't get me wrong. I mean, like from a technical standpoint, I was like, wow, it's cool. Yeah, AI can do the thing that you're telling it to do. That is pretty fucking cool. I've got a question though. Who the fuck pays you for this? Whether the AI does it or whether you do it, whether Einstein fucking did it, does anybody actually see a monetary value in the work that's being produced? And I think that's going to be one of the big problems that AI is going to point out is that most people are doing worthless work. We are going to get past the point of people being impressed with the tasks that AI can do. And we are going to get to the point where people are actually looking at the output of AI and wondering why the hell they ever paid anybody for this shit to begin with. Right, I've thought about this before. Again, one of my little stories from being in Miami. Again, I thought it was really interesting. I was in a tech event and I was just kind of eavesdropping behind a couple of people, and they were talking about with corporations why so many managers wanted employees to come back to the office, and basically their argument was that the managers have no idea what the KPI for their employees are. So key performance indicators, basically what is the measurable value the employees bring to the company. That's what a KPI is. And so basically what their argument was is that the managers had no idea what the KPIs for the employees are. And so by bringing them to the office, it makes it feel like the employees are actually doing something that they should be paid for. But here's the thing. If you wouldn't pay your employees to do this shit from their house, why the fuck are you paying the employees to do this shit from your building? And then what you really got to be thinking about is if you wouldn't pay an employee to do this from your house, and you wouldn't pay an employee to do this in your building, why would you pay AI to do the work either? And I think what we're going to really find, again, with this whole intersection of a lot of things happening, return to office mandates, artificial intelligence, and that type of thing, is that a huge amount of work done by American professionals is functionally worthless, has no value for these organizations. And so that's the other thing that OpenAI has to deal with. Value of what they're offering is going down. Competitors are going up. And again, the question of the total addressable market. Nobody ever really talks about what happens if your total addressable market collapses, right? So you have a total addressable market. Look at all the office workers in the United States. Imagine if we could replace all their tasks, right? What would that be worth? But here's the question. What if in the process of replacing all those office workers, all the owners of companies realized those office workers were doing worthless work to begin with. Ergo, if they're not going to pay an employee to do it, they're also not going to pay AI to do it. Right? And these are the issues that we're coming to. And so that's where with OpenAI's $852 billion valuation facing scrutiny, I think more and more investors are looking at this type of thing. OpenAI's 852 valuation is under scrutiny from some of its own backers as the company shifts its focus to the enterprise market to fend off competition from Anthropic, the Financial Times reported on Tuesday. And again, this is also from their own backers. This is not from people in their basements like me. It's from their own investors. Last month, OpenAI raised $122 billion in what would likely rank as the largest funding round in Silicon Valley history. However, the company has redrawn its product roadmap twice in the past 6 months in response to competitive threats, first from Google and then from Anthropic. And again, think about this. They want $1 trillion valuation and they're redoing their product roadmap twice in 6 months because they really they want to be worth $1 trillion, but they still really don't understand the value that they're bringing to people. According to the report, some OpenAI investors said that the changes could leave it vulnerable to Anthropic and a resurgent at Google, even as the company prepares for its initial public offering as early as this year. Some industry watchers have predicted that Anthropic's pace of revenue growth will eclipse that of OpenAI within a couple of months. Quote, you have ChatGPT, a billion user business growing 50 to 100% a year. What are you doing talking about enterprise and code? An early backer of OpenAI told Financial Times, it's a deeply unfocused company. And I think the reason here is because most of these billion users are worse than worthless. Most of these billion users are just draining money, right? Think about this. You have ChatGPT, a billion user business growing by 50 to 100% per year. Now, when you say a billion user business, what you're thinking is a billion users handing them $20 a month, which is not the case. It's something like 50 million users are handing them $20 a month or whatever, and 950 million users are not paying a dime, right? And so as they grow by 50 to 100% per year, think about this. You're growing a business at 50 to 100% per year, and the vast majority of your users burn money. They don't make anything. Is that a viable strategy? That's one of the interesting things with Anthropic, right? Anthropic focused on professionals. They hyper-focused on professionals, especially the coding community. The idea being is that coders are willing to spend money, whereas normies are not. And so I think that's one of the things that OpenAI is dealing with. But that's the issue. Like, what happens when people realize your metrics are worthless? Wow, you got a billion, right? That sounds amazing, right? The fastest growing, platform in world history. But it's like, yeah, but you're giving everything away. As I've talked about before, if I have a pizza shop and I give away pizza, and I become so successful giving away pizza, I open up more and more pizza shops. And then I take over the country. Every town in America has an Eli the pizza guy shop that gives away pizza. And Domino's goes bankrupt, and Pizza Hut goes bankrupt, and Papa John's goes bankrupt, right? People would not be like, oh my God, look at what a business genius Eli is. Eli is such a fucking genius, he can give away so much pizza that he puts other people out of business. Right? That would be stupid. If we talked about the pizza business the way that we talk about artificial intelligence, people would think you're a fucking idiot. But for some reason, you slap AI on it and you become a thought leader. So anyways, let's see here. OpenAI's chief financial officer, Sarah Fryer, said that the suggestion that investors are not supportive of the company's strategy defies the facts. And so this is kind of interesting here, right? So you have the Financial Times having an early backer of OpenAI say it's deeply unfocused, they don't know what's going on. And then you have the actual CFO of OpenAI saying that defies the facts. The facts that you are hearing are not the right facts. That is kind of 2026. In an email statement to Reuters, an OpenAI spokesperson said that the company's $122 billion fundraise was, quote, oversubscribed, completed in record time, and backed by a broad set of leading global investors, reflecting strong conviction in both our direction, current business momentum, and long-term value. And that might be the thing, right? They did close a $122 billion round. It may have been oversubscribed. So oversubscribed means more people were trying to buy into it than there was equity to sell. And so that might be the case. I think the interesting thing here, though, is that investors are starting to talk about it, right? As we've been talking about this AI fraud for a while, again, I've been putting these little flags for you all to watch, like as we go through this cycle. And so the interesting thing to see now is not that investors are running away, but that there's starting to be more questions on the table, and those questions will build up. And I just don't see a way out of it for these companies. How do they not turn into the next WeWork? I don't know. I mean, how much money is there in college students cheating on their essays? I'm not saying it's not a big market, but how much are college kids really gonna pay to cheat at college? I don't know. And again, be careful out there. I'm not joking about this thing where we have a lot. Our corporate world is, I do believe, the largest cargo cult bureaucracy that may have ever been created. And that's one of the things to worry about too. If you're out there in the job market, is again, it's not that you're not working. I think that's the hard thing. We talk about this stuff, and it's not that you're not working. It's not that you're not commuting. It's not that you don't have a mountain of stress and are going to have a heart attack by 55. It's that all that work that you're doing, all that stress that you're going through, all of that, are you just a cog in a fucking cargo cult bureaucracy? I think that's interesting. You talk with employees and they always get pissed. You always get pissed when I call them cogs, but they are, right? If you're an employee, you're a fucking cog. That is it, right? No corporation wants the entire company to fail because one motherfucker had a heart attack. And so that's the thing. So if the company's not going to fail if one person has a heart attack, that means you have to have redundancy. You have to have significant redundancy, which basically means everybody turns into a cog, right? If you're an employee, you're a cog. So if you were getting mad at me of calling you folks cogs, how mad are y'all going to be when you realize you're cargo cult cogs? Not only are you a cog, but yeah, the entire fucking thing that you're doing is worthless too. Oh, Lord. Anyway, I don't know what to say. Put your thoughts down below. See y'all later.